Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is January the 14th, 2024. Hopefully, this episode finds you well in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. So far, so good. Nice. Trying to stay warm. It has been really cold. I did a grocery run today. I think it was cold here. I mean, we're in single digits. Okay, my friend, they sent me a picture, and they're in like the negative, and I'm like, okay, that's really cold. But anyway, for me and my struggle, I was walking into the grocery store and I'm like, ooh, my eyes feel like they're freezing. So yeah, it's hard out here. Okay, you're trying to stay warm and cozy out here. It's difficult. But let's see, food corner. I had Subway, and let me tell you, I gotta say this is a mission failure from the start, but we made the most of it. So I was trying to get the foot long cookie. I don't know if you've seen that advertised, but it intrigued me. And I had read a review kind of describing it as like something akin to like the cookie dessert you get from like a pizza place. Very, very similar. Also, they had a foot long pretzel stick. And I'm like, yo, that's what I love me a good pretzel. And even if it's just edible, I'm curious. You know what I mean? I'm food curious. So I finally get in there. I blow in there with the fucking cold wind, and the first thing I asked, hey, do you guys have the foot long cookie? They say no, we don't have the cookie. And I had half an urge just to walk out and just leave, but I was like, you know what? We're already here. I'm not trying to trek to somewhere else. So let's just go ahead and get some Subway. Let's get some Nubway. And I went and got 2 6 inches and a cookie and a chip. So the 2 6 inches was one was a Italian BMT, and then the other was the Philly. I got to put some quotations there, but really got to put quotations over everything out of Subway. I mean, the bread's not really bread, the tuna's not really tuna, but hey, I mean, it's still edible, like by the law. So, needless to say, it turned out okay. The chips I got were the St. Vicky's jalapeno chips, top tier. Love those chips. And then I got an oatmeal raisin cookie. I should have got 2 cookies, but I was already feeling fat, so I was like, all right, let's not do it. So overall, it was Subway. You know what I mean? I dressed them up. They was as good as it. I will say it's so funny, right? Like I'm watching the person put it all together, and I'm like, man, this is like one of the worst subs I've ever seen, right? And not because the person was doing bad or anything, but it was just like. Like you're used to like a commercial level of how you want a sandwich to look in your head, and then by the time it's all done at a Subway, it doesn't look and feel like that. But I will say, to my counterpoint, that it tasted good. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it went down well. I wolfed it down like I was goddamn Shaggy, from fucking Scooby Doo, and I felt revitalized. I felt full. I feel like Subway is one of those things. If you just don't eat it a lot, it's fine. But if you eat Subway on like a weekly basis or often, then you can easily get burnt out on it. You know what I mean? But hey, a sandwich is a sandwich. All right, enough of me ranting and raving about Subways. Let me go ahead and do my startup, and then we can get into some news. Ooh. All right. Our first story comes from ABC News. 2 Navy SEALs missing off Somalia coast were on a nighttime boarding mission. U.S. officials. 2 U.S. Navy SEALs are missing off the coast of Somalia after having fallen into the water during a nighttime boarding mission on Thursday, according to 2 U.S. officials. The official said that the SEALs had fallen into the water one after the other during the boarding of a vessel by boat in the Gulf of Aden. It is unclear what prompted them to board the vessel. For SEALs, it is standard protocol to jump into the water to rescue a fellow SEAL when they fall overboard, said a U.S. official. Search operations for the missing SEALs are continuing, said a U.S. official. Now, the Gulf of Aden is kind of involved. I'm saying kind of, but it is involved with the U.S. naval activity. In terms of like the Red Sea. So in terms of just what's going on with the Houthi boats and overtaking ships and things of that nature, and the tit for tat now going on with the U.S., the U.K., the West. Another thing I didn't really cover: the U.S. UK did another strike. I'm not really bringing any details here or anything like that, but yeah, that's still an ongoing thing. The tit for tat's going back and forth. We'll see how aggressive the U.S. is going to be about this. Because I feel like every time this happens, it just makes us look more and more barbaric. More and more stupid, because it's not like it's stopping them. At the end of the day, this is not a new thing for Houthis. But I'm getting off track. This is about the SEALs. I'm sorry. I will say like that. I didn't know that the protocol, it makes sense, right? Where it's just like, hey, if one guy goes down, and especially, in a mission, you got to go in after him. Like, you don't even think about it. But to me, I would just be like, and I know maybe this is selfish, but I'm like, well, how am I going to beat the ocean? You know what I mean? Like, how am I going to beat a whole fucking raging sea? Like, if you're gone, brother. I'll tell your story. That'd be me. But hey, that's why I am not cut out for that. I'm not built for it. So yeah, I mean, that being said, there's not too many details right now, being like that seems like this is like kind of mission related, and they're trying to find the men or the Navy SEALs. So yeah, I will keep you posted if I hear anything more. Yeah, no, they actually didn't say the gender, so let me not assume. That's on my bad. But yeah, let's move on to the next thing. Man, Boeing cannot stay out of the news this month. From Al Jazeera, Boeing flight returns to Japan airport due to cockpit window crack. A domestic flight of Japan's All Nippon Airways, or ANA, has returned to its departure airport after a crack was found on the cockpit window of the Boeing 737-800 aircraft midair. Flight 1182 was headed to Toyama Airport in Japan, but headed back to Sapporo New Chitose Airport after the crack was found on the outermost four layers of windows surrounding the cockpit, a spokesperson for the airline said Saturday. There were no injuries reported among the 59 passengers and 6 crew, the airline added. The crack was not something that affected the flight's control or pressurization, the ANA spokesperson said. This is the second incident involving a Boeing aircraft this week. Yeah, they go into the MAX 9 and all that kind of shit. We've already talked about that. But yeah, good that this wasn't something that was as headline worthy as the MAX 9 going down with the fuselage, door plug. But that being said, this is just not good. Not good look. You know what I mean? I don't know if this was manufacturer related or anything like that. I don't know if they're going to do an investigation here. This is on one of the older, models of the 737. But yeah, I mean, like I said, not a good month, not a good start of the year for Boeing. No siree. Let's move on to the next beat. Speaking for, another group not having a good start of their year, from the Business Insider, streaming platform Twitch to lay off 35% of staff, Bloomberg. Let's scroll a little more. Live streaming platform Twitch is looking to slash about 35% of its workforce, Bloomberg reported on Tuesday. The impending layoffs would affect about 500 workers, Bloomberg reported, citing sources familiar with the matter. The publication said the layoffs could be announced as early as Wednesday. The job cuts come after a series of executive departures at the end of 2023. Since November, Twitch's chief customer officer, chief content officer, and chief revenue officer said they were leaving the company. This isn't the first round of layoffs the Amazon-owned platform has had to endure. In March, Twitch CEO Tom Clancy said the company was laying off about 400 workers. I always want to call him Dan Clancy, and I think that's from another thing. I don't know, or maybe I don't know. I'm getting my Clancy's mixed up. But anyway, that's the CEO. Like many companies, our businesses have been impacted by the current macro economic environment, and user and revenue growth has not kept pace with our expectations, Clancy wrote in a company blog post then. In order to run our business sustainably, we've made the very difficult decision to shrink the size of our workforce, he continued. And yeah, I mean, I think he's also added either there or in another interview conversation where he's come out and said that, yeah, I mean, Twitch in and of itself is just not a financially viable thing, which makes sense and adds up because it really just feels like something Amazon has made to kind of just try to farm Twitch Prime, subscriptions. It's just like a subsidiary of that. And it almost seems like they don't invest in it in a way to make it better or more profitable. They only allow it to be sustainable. And that is really fucking unfortunate, in my opinion. I know we've talked, some layoff, if I'm not mistaken. I know we talked about Twitch having to shut down in Korea. It just seems like it gets worse and worse, and it really sucks because literally what I have going on in the background while I fucking talk to y'all is Twitch. I love Twitch. I love watching people do stuff. So that's kind of why it gets maybe a little bit more of a spotlight than maybe other places might talk about it, because it has a spot in my heart. You know what I mean? Hell, even I have done Twitch before. I didn't get anywhere with it, but I do want to get back into it again if I ever get, better setup for it. But I love the field. I love the atmosphere. I love, being able to make content that way, and it's a shame that it's something that is just such a stifled platform. And even on YouTube, like, live streaming in and of itself isn't really promoted well there. It is a video space, and it's a shame that, like, really both in their own ways, like, stymie their own growth in that way. They don't want to put more money into it. It's almost like they just view it as a risk, and they just want to keep the ship afloat in some instances. And that's really unfortunate, because I really do feel like you could just do more and grow more. And I think one way or another, the space will grow. It's just going to be a matter of time of, like, who's going to actually, like, invest in that space and really allow it to be that way. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out my asshole. Who can say? Anyway, we have one more thing to cover. So you know what that means. I'm going to take my break, and then we will get into it. Man, we're going to get into some demonic shit. Ooh. Okay. All right. Last article is coming from The Guardian. Tennessee After School Satan Club holds first meeting despite protests. Children had a great time at the first meeting of an after-school Satan Club at a Tennessee elementary school this week, organizers said, despite dozens of protesters who condemned the meeting. I love that it's dozens of protesters. Like, yeah, you guys are doing too much. You gotta fight back. Fight for the Lord, brother. On Wednesday, the After School Satan Club, or the ASSC, or ASC, a federally recognized nonprofit organization and national after-school program, held its first meeting at Chimney Rock Elementary School in Memphis. Who's walking in Memphis? A club flyer said that the Satanic Temple was a non-theistic religion that views Satan as a literary figure who represents a metaphorical construct of rejecting tyranny and championing the human mind and spirit. After School Satan Club does not attempt to convert children to any religious ideology. Instead, the Satanic Temple supports children to think for themselves All after-school Satan clubs emphasize a scientific, rationalist, non-superstitious worldview, it added. And this is something why I wanted to eventually get around to this, because I knew it had kind of been making the rounds for about a week or so, that they were planning on making this group. It was catching backlash and flack. People are freaking out like they always love to do. The satanic panic is always a real thing. It really never dies. It just simmers down and then like stokes up whenever they get the chance. But it's one of those things where people freak out when you talk about like a satanic group, you know, a group of people, and next thing you know, it gets called a cult or whatever. They try to make it as evil sounding as possible. But more times than not, it's just some people coming together to just talk about some shit that usually is just not Christian. You know what I mean? It's more or less just that. And it's not like it's anti-God or anything like that when you break it down. More times than not, it's just tongue-in-cheek, cheeky shit. It is antagonistic at best. But really, you know, it is people getting down and having a communal experience that just doesn't involve God. And you know, sure, Satan is like a symbol there, but that it's really just symbolism. I feel like more times than not, whenever I've looked at this shit. I find it very interesting coming from a Christian background. I know that it was always painted to me in such a negative light, and I always thought it was scary. I used to be a person who was like scared to go into a hot topic because I thought like maybe that was like the vibe in there. I didn't know what I was going to find. It turns out when I've wound up working in there, you know, going behind the fucking dark curtain, it's just Justin Bieber and Pierce the Veil shirts. Like, it's not that deep. And like, I often find that like when you look at these groups, it's very similar. They're just people being people. It's not crazy. It's not demonic. You know what I mean? Let's talk about some of the activities. Activities promoted by the club include science projects, community service projects, puzzles and games, nature activities, arts and crafts, and snacks, the flyer said. So, good. I'm glad that, you know, the kids got to go and have a good time. You know what I mean? Learn a little bit more outside of maybe what is a black and white A, B kind of conversation. You know what I mean? I think that that's really the biggest thing about it, which any club I think is supposed to be providing for you, is a chance to just kind of be outside of your norm and really learn some stuff, learn some things. So yeah, I think it's really cool. But yeah, there were people out there making a fuss, holding up signs saying there is power in the blood of Jesus and there is room at the cross. Other signs said the wages of sin is death and schools in the name of Jesus. Because that's cool, right? We have to like make sure that God is emphasized in any and all things, because you know, that's what we do at public places. Love that. Here's a quote. What I want the school district to do is obey the law and allow God to take care of this, because this fight is not between the school and the satanic club. This fight is between God and the satanic club, and God is going to bring it down. That was Charlotte Bergman, the protest organizer. So yeah, man, I really think this is overblown. Let me read another quote. There's no reason that Memphis should have ever allowed an after-school Satan club to come in. It's time to reverse policy, and it's time for parents to get on their post and pray and protect their kids. I mean, look, I'm fine for a parent to be like, hey, I don't like my kid maybe going. I, you know, suggested that my kid didn't because, you know, we're a religious family. We believe in God, blah, blah, blah. And you have your own reasons for maybe not having your kid go. But you shouldn't be against this existing. If anything, this helps your point. It's allowing you to have like a counterplay conversation with your kid about how Satan is real and like blah, 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 I guess. You know what I mean? Like, you're hating the fucking game here. I don't understand. It's weird. You're trying to punish the players for the game. I don't know. I do find this fucking silly. We're talking about this shit the same week that Lil Nas X came out with his like Christian album. He's like dubbing it. I love it, honestly. He's like fucking getting crucified. He's like Christ-like now. He fucking dunks on Satan. And people are really mad. Shit. I know we covered Kai Cenat, you know, the Twitch streamer. He's like, God's gonna come for you, bro. Blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't know. People are so out of pocket. People are really big mad about this shit. And I love it. I think that people gotta understand that at the end of the day, religion is cool. It's important. and it's all right and great for you to cherish it and worship whoever the fuck you want. But at the end of the day, people might not. And also, maybe even people might want to use your shit as imagery, as art, as symbolism. And you kind of got to be okay with that. You know what I mean? We're living in the real world, 2024. I don't know what to tell you, man. But I know people, hold that shit very sacred. They really do care about it. But I don't know. To me, it is just something to talk about. It's something to discuss. It's something to, take in and hopefully enjoy for whatever it is. I don't know, like whatever it is you celebrate and love and worship. I think it's something that you should allow to be looked at and work with, and then you can use and platform off of. I don't know, make it work for you. That's me. I don't know. That's all I can really say here. But that's it. That's all I really have. That's the episode. Hopefully you're having a good Sunday fun day. Hopefully it is a holiday weekend for you and you don't have to work Monday like me now. Yay, awesome. I love that. But if you do, hopefully, you get a good night's rest, you get a good meal in, and, hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.